This episode is exclusively sponsored by CanWe. Get clear on what you and your date are looking for faster. CanWe is your expert guide on your dating journey. Check out the CanWe app in Apple's App Store or on Google Play. Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper influences. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing dumper influences. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it's natural to wonder if your ex was influenced to break up with you, or whether there are influences affecting the chances of you one day reconnecting. In today's podcast, I'm going to discuss 3 potential dumper influences which can cause a breakup and what this means for you, the dumpee, right now and moving forward. So let's get straight into this, and number 1 is friends and family. So to the question, can friends and family influence someone to end a relationship? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. I am a big believer in romantic emotional attraction, and I believe a relationship ends, a breakup takes place, when someone hits a certain low point in the levels of attraction that they feel for their partner. So at the time of a relationship being at its strongest, there is a high level of romantic emotional attraction felt between both people. And at the time of a breakup, romantic emotional attraction has dropped to a certain low point, and that is when someone becomes a dumper and ends a relationship. So when we consider this question about friends and family, we have to think, can friends and family influence someone to lose attraction for their partner? And sadly, the answer is yes. Friends and family have a big influence because they are people that we love. They are people that we trust. So if friends and family make suggestions that this might not be the right connection for us, this can have an effect, especially if they showcase some type of evidence, whether this is something which they have heard and pass on to you, whether this is something that they have seen and that they can show you, maybe a photo, maybe a text. The possibilities are obviously endless, but we have to acknowledge that friends and family do influence us, and hence they can create a scenario where they influence someone to lose romantic emotional attraction for their partner until it hits a necessary low point, and at that stage they will end a relationship. Now, when friends and family influence somebody to end a relationship, it can be for one of 2 possibilities. One possibility is that it is genuine, and one possibility is that it's not genuine. So either they are passing information on which is correct, which is honest, which is right, and ultimately it's probably fair on the person. Look, if your friends and family tell you something which is absolutely shocking and true, then why shouldn't they be influencing their friend or family member? However, sometimes the information they pass on isn't true. Maybe they're doing this deliberately or by mistake, but sometimes it is not accurate what they are saying, and unfortunately, the influence can still be the same. So if you're a dumpee, you're probably thinking, well, this sounds awful. Friends and family have influenced my ex to end our relationship. Well, I need to say that this is only in the minority of instances. Although I hear of these situations, they are in rarity. They're not something which happens every single day. And I would not necessarily believe that friends and family have influenced your ex to end your relationship. That should be something which you don't consider as the main possibility unless you have absolute evidence. But the good news is for dumpees is that I believe love conquers all. And if 2 people are in love, if 2 people really feel that they want to be part of each other's life, then going forward into the long term, the dumper will regret this decision. Although it's not overly common, I have heard of instances where dumpers have contacted dumpees and apologised for ending the relationship based on what they were told. So what you need to consider, and what's really, really important to understand, is that if you miss somebody, then nobody can influence you otherwise. So although somebody could be influenced to lose attraction and then to end a relationship, if moving forward from that point, they don't feel their life is any better off as a singleton, if they really start to miss their ex, then nobody is going to be able to influence this person not to want to reconnect. So although friends and family, I believe, can influence somebody to potentially end a relationship, in the long term, eventually, if the dumper really wants to connect with their dumpee, if the dumper really misses their dumpee, then they will. Nobody will be able to stop them. So it's kind of good and bad when you look about this position of friends and family. Yes, they can influence a breakup, but I believe at the end of the day, when we look at things complete, the dumper will reach out to their dumpee, apologise, and try to reconnect if they miss them. So if this doesn't happen, we have to sadly consider that the dumper agrees with the decision that they made, and this is a position that they are comfortable with. So if you have some type of evidence that friends and family influence your ex, you have no choice but to move forward with your life and understand that if your ex changes their mind, if your dumper believes that they made the wrong choice, they will contact you. And it's not something that their friends and family will be able to influence them over forever. If they never contact you again, then this would have likely been their decision. And hence, move forward with your life, make new connections yourself, and live the life of somebody who is going to be fantastic with or without your ex, because that's the truth. Not everybody gets their ex back. There is no 100% guaranteed way to reconnect with an ex. And hence, you need to move forward, make new connections, and live your life. But if your dumper does regret things, they will contact you. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper influences. And number 2 is job. So sometimes a job will create a situation where someone loses romantic emotional attraction for their partner and ends a relationship. Now this will dictate, of course, what the situation is. Is this a scenario where somebody doesn't want their partner to work because they don't believe that they should work? In this instance, the partner might think, look, I want to work. This is my life. You can't control my decisions. And this could be a scenario where the person who has been informed not to work thinks, look, this relationship is not working for me anymore. You are too controlling. I want to move on my own path. If this situation is what has happened regarding you and your former partner, it is sadly unlikely that you will hear from your ex again. And when you think about it, can you blame them? If you were trying to influence them and control them not to take a job because you don't believe they should be working, can you blame them for ending the relationship? Now, another possibility with a job is that it's a job that takes somebody far, far away. It's a job which means that somebody has to move a far distance away from where they live right now. And it creates a breakup because one partner wants to stay where they're living right now and one partner wants to move. One partner wants to move for the job. Now, unfortunately, this is when we look at something called deal breaker life goals. If two people have serious life goals which are different to one another, this can create a situation where one or both people lose romantic emotional attraction for one another because they are no longer going on the same path. And if you're not going on the same path, the same life journey, then unfortunately, this is a connection which is unsustainable. So what about the future? What if somebody ends a relationship because they really want to take this job, which means we've got to move hundreds or thousands of miles away? And the dumpee's thinking, look, I really regret this. I'll do anything. I'll move to where they live. Well, I strongly suggest that you don't move to where an ex lives unless reconnection is on the horizon. There is no guarantee you can get your ex back, and you don't want to be changing your life for something which you can't guarantee is going to give you happiness. Now, if and when you hear from your dumper again, this might be something you consider. You might consider then speaking about the possibility of you moving, but I certainly don't suggest you move without any evidence that your ex wants to reconnect. Remember, once a breakup takes place, you're both single, and you never know what mindset your dumper is in now and if they've connected with somebody new. Albeit it's unlikely within the first year or so that they would get into a serious relationship with somebody else, then they might still be feeling quite negative about you and the situation which caused the breakup. Okay, if they wanted you to move and you didn't want to move, this could be causing a lot of friction between you both. And I'm not here to be saying who's in the right and who's in the wrong on this. This is something between you both. But if a job has created a breakup, there is a possibility that your life goal differentials mean you're on different paths, and unfortunately, you might never reconnect again. However, you never know what the future holds. Your ex might decide that they don't like this job. They might decide they don't like the new location. They might want to move back home. You might hear from your ex again because of that. Or maybe they miss you and they reach out and they try to persuade you to move out to where they live now. Now, again, if you don't really want to do this, if this is going to make you unhappy, then don't do it just for the relationship, because you need to feel comfortable. If you move thousands of miles away, you miss your family, you miss your own job that you'd probably have to leave, and all of the other things about where you live right now, just for a relationship, there is no guarantee you will feel fulfilled. Please think things through fully, and if you hear from your ex again, you've got to do what's right for you as well as your ex. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper influences. And number 3 is politics and religion. Now, when people connect for the first time, I strongly suggest that you don't speak about politics and religion, certainly on the first date or two, because you want to see how you connect as people without getting into really deep, heavy subjects. But there will come a time, of course, where you have to share your viewpoints on politics and religion. And if one or both people have strong, differing opinions, this can be somewhat similar to what I was speaking about regarding the job, in that you will have differing opinions, differing deal-breaker life goals. But in this instance, the life goals might be a certain way that somebody wants to vote, a certain religion that somebody wants to practice. If both people don't feel comfortable with what the other is doing, this can cause friction. And even if a relationship is working wonderfully in every other way, this can be a challenge. Now look, compromise is the best option if possible, but if one person is incredibly passionate about religion or politics and the other person is either not passionate or maybe they have opposite feelings, this can cause trouble, this can cause problems within your connection. It will be up to you and your partner about what you can do to move forward from this. And unfortunately, if a breakup occurs, you have to consider the fact that this shows that the person who ended the relationship really feels passionate about these subjects. So if you've been dumped because of politics or religion, you have to consider that your ex, the dumper who ended the relationship, feels incredibly passionate about the fact that you don't agree with their mindset or that they don't agree with yours. If you look at it like that, then it doesn't even matter if you feel moderate in your regard, in your feelings. For example, if you feel like I'm not overly religious, I'm not overly political, I don't mind. However, your ex is very strong on these, then this is something which would mean unless you change your whole mindset, your whole you might say, the core of who you are, then you can't be together. And should you really sell your soul to be in a relationship, you need to be thinking about this clearly. So, in essence, if politics or religion created a breakup, if you were dumped because of these reasons, you have to consider that your former partner does not feel comfortable with this. Maybe you are the person with the strong views and your former partner couldn't handle them. Maybe they felt very moderate, maybe they wasn't too bothered, and you're very passionate and they felt uncomfortable because of this. I would always say compromise if you can, but if you don't feel you can do this, then you've got to be thinking, why are you trying to save this relationship? Yes, you might enjoy the same television shows. Yes, you might enjoy going to the same events. But if your core mindset is different, then a relationship is sadly not viable. And if somebody ends a relationship due to politics or religion, it is sadly unlikely that you will hear from them again wanting to reconnect, unless you change your mind. And as I've said, do I really think you should be doing that? Not really. Not unless it's truly you, not unless it's something that you truly, genuinely believe in. And then if you really do go down that path and you hear from your ex again, then you have a possibility of telling them your thoughts and you can take things from there. Again, please be careful and always respect yourself as well as your ex. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.